You are searching for your self-worth in other people, and that stops today. If you find that you are somebody who's anxiously attached, somebody who is constantly thinking and obsessing over other people, or maybe you have some codependent tendencies, maybe you're people pleasing, you're losing yourself, your mind is constantly going into these negative stories all day, every day, it is going to be so incredibly important that you start to bring your attention and your focus back to yourself. You need to start being the main character of your life. And on top of that, you need to become obsessed with yourself. And listen, the word obsession and being obsessed with yourself sometimes gives off narcissistic vibes, right? But you know what? I'm talking to the people who do not know how to prioritize themselves, who do not stand in their self-worth, who don't believe that they are worthy of being shown up for, of being loved, of being literally looked at as a main character. Because realistically, when you are anxiously attached, when you have codependent tendencies, when you are in this very unfortunately low self-worth state, your life tends to be taken over by perceiving everyone else and what they are doing and how they are showing up. And on top of that, you then make meaning out of whatever it is that these people are doing or not doing, and you put that on yourself. And your self-worth comes from that. So if somebody's showing up today in your life, then okay, I'm a good, worthy person, I'm accepted, I am loved. If they are not showing up, oh my gosh, I've done something bad, I am no longer a good person, I am not accepted, I am put to the side. Now, usually, we recreate these dynamics because of our past. We have had childhoods where maybe our parents might have been like that, or people around us, caregivers, whatever the case is. But that stops today. You need to start building up your confidence within yourself, whether somebody is showing up a certain way or not. And listen, this is for you. This is so that you can wake up every single day and not be so anxious and not feel like crap about yourself and not feel like you're literally not important to anyone. But on top of that, the more that you bring your attention back to yourself and you care about yourself and you back yourself and you're confident within yourself, people around you are going to conform. They either are going to fall off because they can't handle being up on your level, or they are going to conform. They are going to show up and treat you with respect and care for you and love you because you love yourself, because you care about yourself, because you're obsessed with yourself, because you know your worth. So here's how you're going to do it. Like I've been saying, step number one, you need to become obsessed with yourself. And we are gonna throw any bad connotation or any bad narrative of what it means to be obsessed with yourself. Because if you're in this state of being, then yes, you are allowed to say that you are obsessed with yourself. Now, what's helped me on my journey is first, having a lot of positive self-talk. So every day when you wake up and all throughout the day, you have stories that run in the background about who you are as a person and what you mean to people and how people are showing up and what that means as well. And so naturally, you're gonna go to the negative. You're gonna try to confirm something that you subconsciously deeply believe about yourself, which is realistically just an old belief. It's something that was instilled in you from childhood, something that does not need to be true about you and is not true about you, but you carry it as if it's true about you. You carry it as if, yes, I'm a bad girl. Yes, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of being shown up for. Nobody showed up for you in your childhood, so now you think that you actually are literally not worthy of showing up for. But realistically, it's just a situation that happened in the past that no longer needs to be your reality now. So when you start to catch yourself, and this is where a lot of self-awareness needs to come into play every single day, when you start to have a negative thought, before you try to push it away and suppress it and ignore it, or you let it continue make you spiral all day to the point where you take action from that place of low self-worth, and that doesn't get you anywhere really, you want to start to tell yourself a new story, a more positive story, a more healthy narrative to whatever it is that you're telling yourself to begin with. Let's say you have a narrative about men and you subconsciously believe that no one will ever commit to you because you're not worthy of being committed to. If you want to tell yourself a new story, sometimes people go to extremes and tell themselves, okay, every man that I talk to commits to me. Okay, well, that might be a little bit too hard for you to believe, so you want to kind of bridge that gap. What could you tell yourself that is a little bit more believable? Okay, well, I'm starting to believe that most men show up for me consistently. I am worthy of being shown up for because this, that, and the third. I'm a great person. I'm a positive light in somebody's life. Anytime that I make a mistake, I make sure to take accountability for it. I have a loving heart. I show up for people. I love people, whatever it is. The next thing that you need to start doing, because when you are so anxiously attached and realistically looking at everyone else as the main character and not yourself, you need to start pointing out things about yourself that are positive, that are healthy, that are amazing. You want to step into this energy almost as if like you're perceiving yourself as a new, beautiful, amazing person, because that is what you are. But if you don't believe that, it doesn't matter if I tell you that, it doesn't matter if the guy tells you that, or if your friends tell you that. If you don't believe it, it's going to be null and void. So every day I want you to start pointing out things that are amazing about you. And you will start to find just how many things that you point out that are negative about your body, about your face, about your success, the things that you said in the past. But like I said, we're gonna combat those stories with positive stories when we actually have those thoughts. But I want you to make a conscious effort when you go into the mirror and look at yourself. Point out the things that are amazing about you, that you like about yourself. When you did something good in your day, at the end of the day, I want you to write out a list of things that you did that were positive and amazing. Did you get up out of your bed? Did you make your bed? Did you read your books? Did you drink your water? Did you take care of yourself? Did you have your meals that you said that you're going to have? Did you go to the gym? Did you speak kindly to people at work? Did you work on a project? What did you do? I don't care if it's a small list or if it's a huge list. Every day is going to be different. I want you to start getting good at pointing out the good positive things that you have done and the good positive things about yourself every single day. Another thing that's going to really help you become more obsessed with yourself is for you to indulge in pleasure. You see, when we have low self-worth and we don't love ourselves and we are just mean to ourselves realistically, we don't allow ourselves to have fun, to play, to indulge in pleasures of life. Indulging in pleasures in life and allowing yourself to live and not just being so strict and so disciplined and so hard on yourself is realistically a self-love practice. And the more you start to do practices that are out of a place of self-love, you really have the focus back on yourself. And that's what we want. When we want to be obsessed with ourselves, when we want to be the main character, we want the spotlight to be on ourselves, not on other people. And indulging in pleasures of life really allow you to be in the present moment instead of in your head thinking and ruminating and being in the negative stories or wondering and worrying about what everyone else is thinking about you or treating you like or not showing up for. Now, there's so many different ways that you can indulge in the pleasures of life, and it's gonna be very unique to you, but here's a few things that can help you cultivate this energy of being in the present moment, indulging in pleasure, and enjoying life and stop being so much in your head. Music and dancing. It is so incredible what listening to like one song that actually gets you in a mood can do to you, like truly, and really just like build up your confidence. And maybe if you're not super confident within yourself when it comes to dancing, that's totally fine, but listening to music and allowing yourself to just dance in your room if you want to can really do a lot for your confidence. And on top of that, it can really change your energy state. It is so important that we actually start to feel good on a day-to-day basis instead of what we usually are in, which is anxiously attached and worry about everyone else and a really negative feeling state. Another way that you can experience pleasure is actually through your food. So making a beautiful home-cooked meal, like having a Friday night in and making something that you know that you love and enjoy. Maybe you're listening to music when you're making the food, but you're actually being in the present moment, you're indulging it, you're not getting mad at yourself, you're not telling yourself stories about why you don't deserve to have this or that it's bad to eat this food or whatever. Like, you are really putting love and care into something that you've made for yourself because you deserve it. But whatever it is that you are doing that is going to help you indulge more in the present moment and experience life and pleasure, when you're doing these things, I really want you to perceive yourself in a way and be like, I'm worthy of having these amazing meals. I am worthy of dancing in my room, and look at how beautiful I am that I'm dancing. You don't want to look at yourself from a place of like self-judgment, right? We want to judge ourselves and criticize ourselves when we're dancing a certain way, or when, you know, we're eating a meal when we should be on some sort of diet or whatever. We want to be very loving to ourselves. One last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to pleasure is actual intimate pleasure. Now, being somebody who is 27 years old, I have come a very long way with my relationship towards myself on an intimate level, especially reflecting on the relationships that I've had with men and realized, especially, you know, when you actually get intimate with them, just how not confident and not self-loving I was with myself in relation to them. And I realized that it was so important that I started to actually have more of a self-pleasure practice for myself and really get to know myself and feel confident, not only just like in the bed with somebody else, but just with myself. And I know not everyone is there yet, and that is totally fine, but I'm very open and honest on my channel, and I've talked about this before, about having a self-pleasure practice and how it's totally fine to have one, and it's totally fine to explore your sexuality, and you know, whether that's with somebody or by yourself. And it really does help your confidence, and it is a form of self-love. Which leads me in today's sponsor of the video, which is Cheeks, which is a membership-based platform with erotic adult films, live workshops, erotic audio stories, and a taboo-breaking magazine. And something that I realized on my journey was the media and some of the content that we consume online can often sometimes give us unrealistic images and ideals of how we should look and what pleasure should really be. And on top of that, I really think something that is so important to me with any area of my life is proper education. And that's why I really love Cheeks, because they have those workshops that can educate yourself when you are feeling like you're a little bit confused, you don't really know what to do, maybe you're not comfortable speaking to people in your immediate life about these topics. And the thing is, it's like we all eventually go through this phase of our lives and we need to learn about our bodies and learn about our bodies in relation to other people. And I just haven't seen something like this on the internet. Cheeks is a go-to platform for releasing warm sexual energy, with the platform having so much variety and content for sexual entertainment and education. And like I've been saying with my interest in education, they actually have a pleasure academy with live workshops and tutorials, which I think is something that I wish that I had when I was growing up in my early 20s and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And with my code Alicia, E-L-I-C-I-A, you can access Cheeks for free for 7 days when you select the annual subscription option as a new customer. And you can cancel any time during your trial period, or you can switch to a monthly plan. One more thing I forgot to mention, the subscription is $14.90 per month or $9.90 if you do the annual subscription. So the link will be in my bio where you can sign up for the free trial, or you can go straight to their website, getcheeks.com, so you can start your trial. And like I said, I just think that it's so important that we expose ourselves to real bodies, real people, responsible people, and also lots of diversity, lots of inclusivity, because I know we're not all the same. We don't all like the same thing, which is great. And that's why I really love Cheeks. So thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. Again, everything will be linked down below. So to sum everything up, you are going to start becoming obsessed with yourself through positive self-talk, indulging in pleasure, pointing out the things that you are great at, that you are amazing at, that you need to remind yourself more of, and you need to do that consistently. Now, today is Friday. It is a beautiful day in downtown Toronto. I have done so much of my work already. I am gonna go for a hot girl walk and perceive myself and become obsessed with myself and listen to my music and make myself feel so amazing. And then tonight, I'm going to make one of my favorite meals, which is grass-fed ground beef on tortilla chips. I'm gonna have some fresh tomatoes. I'm gonna have some salsa. I'm gonna have some Greek yogurt with that. Like, it's gonna be a whole thing. I'm gonna just romanticize my night tonight. I'm going to love myself. And then tomorrow, we're gonna talk about some more tips. And I have a few things that I'm doing when I'm going out with my friends that I think will be very, very helpful, because one thing that I've realized that needs to change with people like us, you know, who care too much about everyone else, is learning how to actually like be in the present moment and not go out and live your life but still be so consumed by everyone else. Because there is seriously a difference between you going out and living your life but still being obsessed with somebody else and worrying about what everyone else is doing and the spotlight still not being on you, versus you actually going out and living your life and the spotlight be on you. So we need to talk about that. Good morning. I literally woke up at 3 a.m. last night and didn't go back to sleep till like 6 o'clock. So I'm really tired and I feel like my day is really thrown off, but we are back at it. Today I'm going to meet my friend Frida and we're gonna do some shopping downtown Toronto, and it's gonna be a great time. But I need to get ready, and I figured let's talk while I get ready. Also, I am going out tonight as well for one of my friend's birthdays, so I'm gonna do like a minimal like hair look right now. Like I'm not gonna do much with my hair and also with my makeup. Let's talk about what I said yesterday. This realization that, you know, there's such a difference between you working on yourself. Okay, let's just bring it back for a second. You know, when we realize we're like anxiously attached or like too obsessed over somebody or like somebody else in our reality, and this doesn't need to be a relationship, it could just be like your friends or parent situations or whatever. People are the main character and you're basically not. When you start to realize that and you're like, okay, no, like I need to care about myself and I'm gonna work on myself and I'm gonna like put my energy towards me. What you do sometimes is, for one, you only work on yourself because you have no other option, because no one's giving you attention or nobody's like making you the main character, which is also like not a bad thing if you think about it in a certain way, but it's like if you wouldn't do this, like you wouldn't actually care about yourself unless this person walked away or unless this person wasn't like putting attention on you, then that's an issue, because realistically, you should always care about yourself. You should always have the spotlight on you, whether that person is in your life or not. And to take it even further, usually when we do these activities or we take care of ourselves or we're eating healthy or we're posting on social media and like trying to live our lives, we're literally just doing that in hopes that they see it, hopes that they validate us. And basically the whole time we are doing these things, our mind is still on them. The spotlight is actually an illusion at this point. We think that we're putting it on ourselves, but we're not. And that's the energy that I need you to get out of. And it took me a while to recognize that within myself and to move from that and actually do these things like taking care of myself and loving myself and becoming obsessed with myself and having a life outside of this person or this situation, because I deserve it, because it actually makes me feel good. Not out of a place of, oh, okay, I just have to do that so that I can get them back, or like, I'm only gonna have to do this for a little bit until they come back. Like, no, we're not doing that. And you know what? I think a lot of us in this day and age, we really, really struggle with being in the present moment, like truly. And this is something that I've learned over the years of going to a somatic therapist, which is different than a psychotherapist, because we're getting into the body, we're not just up in the mind talking all day. We really struggle with being present and, you know, like being out of our head and just focusing on what the person in front of us is saying instead of listening, but really our minds are wandering. And now to bring it very deeply, obviously, like if you have, it's basically like your nervous system is constantly in fight or flight, so you can't be in the present moment. And if that's the case, then like obviously you need to maybe do some extra work, somatic therapy, nervous system regulation. You can do that daily, doing guided meditations, like just coming to the breath, doing breath work, things like that. Having a morning routine where you're connecting with yourself and you're calm and you're not like letting your thoughts take over your entire personality. But it's gonna be up to you to consciously try your best when you recognize your mind putting the spotlight on somebody else, when you are in the present moment with your friends, when you're doing social events, when you're literally trying to watch a show, like whatever it is that you're doing, it's really going to be up to you to witness yourself going there and to lovingly bring yourself back. And this is going to take some repetition, and that's totally fine, but it has to be done. You need to practice being more in the present moment. Now, easier said than done, just being in the present moment when you're literally like never know how to be the main character of your own life. But here's something that helps me, especially can help you if you are just somebody who's just like always in your head. When you go out and see your friends and you're trying to be in the present moment, naturally you're gonna have the thoughts of like wanting to think about a situation, or like you're no longer the main character, or you're feeling like crap about yourself. That's fine. You're gonna have those thoughts. It's gonna be up to you to say lovingly, no thank you. But it's not from a place of like, okay, let's ignore these stories forever. Realistically, there's a part of you that really wants to play the story out. Sometimes what I like to do is tell myself in the moment, when I get home, I will deal with the situation. Like when I get home, I will allow myself to think about it. When I get home, I will deal with the situation later. And this is why I say that, because I think about it the same way I think about restrictive dieting. You know, when you put a super restrictive diet, or you go on one, and you tell yourself like you can't have cake ever, like just never. How many more urges do you have throughout the day to want to have that cake? Like 10 million times more. And so it's so good that you kind of practice this balance of duality and allowing yourself to be like, okay, I'm not gonna tell myself that I can never think about this person again or this situation or ever like get in my head again, because that's unrealistic. It's not gonna happen anyways, right? So allowing yourself the option to, okay, I'm gonna park this obsession about somebody or whatever the situation is. I'm gonna park this right here and I'm gonna bring myself into the present moment, and I'm going to do my best to engage in the activity that I'm trying to do with my friend or work projects or whatever. And the times that I will have the stories come up in my head or whatever it is that I'm thinking, I will lovingly witness myself thinking these stories and allow them to pass. Not making meaning out of these things. Also realizing that I do have a lot of power. I can become the adult of myself and say, no, sorry, we are not going there. We're not doing the negative stories. We're not talking down on ourselves. We're not reminding ourselves how much we are not the main character. Because that's the thing, right? When you start to spiral in the stories or whatever story you're telling yourself, it's always negative, and it's always like you trying to search for evidence or have a story that tells you that you're basically not the main character, that you're not chosen, that you're not wanted, that you're not cared about, whatever. And it's seriously going to be up to you to first decide that you are, literally, because I've said this, no matter how many times people around you, even if they see your worth and they see your value and they want to treat you like you're the main character, you ain't gonna feel like it until you do. Okay, I'm putting this headband over my gel so that I can make sure that my edges are somewhat slicked back. So sorry if I look a little bit odd right now. Okay, another thing that's really, really helped me become the main character of my own life, and this is something, oh my gosh, again, that us anxiously attached, us codependent, us stressed out individuals, and really any of us who have low self-worth and we don't have a lot of confidence, but it's to start being open with your energy to everyone and everything in your life. We go through life, okay, where, especially like when you just don't have self-worth, you think that like nobody would talk to you, nobody would like you, you're too afraid to go into new social situations, put yourself out there, things of that nature. But the more times you actually start to show yourself that, oh, like, people don't reject me when I go to a new event here and sign up for something. Or people actually are happy to talk to me when I go to the gym and I say hi to someone, the person that I literally see every single morning, but I'm just like too afraid to say anything to them. Or let's say when we're dating people, we literally attach to that person in like one moment when they show us a little bit of attention and like they tell us that they like us. But realistically, we give ourselves no option to be able to go date other people. And we do that for many reasons, but a lot of the times is our low self-worth. But realistically, you know, that person can be your main person and you can want to be with them, but it actually really helps you with your confidence when you go out and explore other options. And I don't mean it like you need to be the serial dater, but to show yourself, especially when you have low self-confidence, that like you are chosen, you can be picked. There are so many people out there that are willing to talk to you, to be your friend, to date you, to see the beauty in you. But when we close ourselves off, when we are so hyper-focused on one person or one situation or one way we're going to make money or one way we're going to be successful or this one career and I have to get it this way, if not then nothing, then we are literally going to be the ones that get in our own way. And on top of that, we reinforce this idea of like, there's not abundance, there's not people who are wanting me all the time. And listen, this is so important when it comes to you actually being in relation to other people, whether that's friends, whether that's romantic interest, even when it comes to your career and money. Because, you know, let's say something's not working out for you right in this moment, or like the money's not coming in exactly the way that you want, or the person that you're talking to, they're acting a little bit weird. If you were rooted in not only your self-worth and you have this main character energy, if you believe that there's a million other options, there's gonna be money coming from every place, it doesn't matter, I don't need to stress about that, you're gonna release the attachment to that thing. You're going to remind yourself of who you are, and you're gonna continue to make things possible in your life because your energy is open. You're not hyper-focused on fixing this person or this relationship. You're gonna walk away when you realize maybe your boundaries are getting crossed, or, you know, when you realize there's not really a point of stressing over like the fact that money's not coming, and then you put your focus where it actually really matters, and the universe really starts to conform to you. And what I mean by that is, okay, well, maybe start manifesting certain opportunities because you actually, instead of obsessing over the fact that you weren't making money in this one area of your life, you got your ass up and you learned a new skill, or you went to somebody who knows something about a new industry and then you made a connection there, and then now you're like, you found this whole new way you can make money. Or when you stop the insanely obsessive attachment to somebody and you put your energy on yourself or your own life, and you actually go and be in the present moment, you start to talk to other people, whatever. Usually what ends up happening is this person's like, wait, first of all, you're not there anymore, so I miss you, and holy crap, you are amazing and you're rooted in your own self-confidence, and you're not sitting in your bed crying and like being obsessed with me. You actually are an amazing person that I've actually always really been attracted to. I just, like something happened in my life and I didn't realize just like how amazing you are, and you were right in front of my face. And the thing is, it's not your job to make that person see your worth. It's not your job to make something work when it's not working. Release the attachment. And the way that you release attachment is having the belief that there are people, places, and things all around you. There's abundance all around you. But if you don't have this abundant mindset, if you're not putting yourself out there, then you aren't gonna feel like there's anything, and then you're just gonna be obsessed over trying to fix or be attached to this thing. Now, let's take dating and relationships for an example. I know that I used to be somebody who was like, okay, but I literally don't want to go out on dates like with other people. Like, I like this person or whatever it is. They don't really want to do all that. And what's helped me reframe the way that I look at that is it's really not about, oh, I have to go date other people because somebody, the one that I actually want, doesn't want me and now I'm being forced to do that. It's not about that. It's, I'm going out and showing myself how amazing I am and how all these men would line up to be with me. And on top of that, I get to choose. It's not about telling yourself like, oh, you can't have what you want, because in that moment you probably want that person, or in that moment you probably want the money opportunity from this certain thing that you're trying to work towards. That's fine. But again, it's showing yourself that there's infinite amounts of possibilities. And when you have that sort of mindset, the abundance mindset, you release the time urgency, you release this anxious energy towards a thing, and you let it play out the way that it needs to play out. And what you will end up finding is it plays out exactly how you actually want. And on top of that, you've learned to step in your own worth. That's the reason why it's happening, is because you've actually stepped into your own worth. So, if you've found that you've been trying to do certain like techniques or things to like let go and like work on yourself, and you're checking and you're wondering why you're still not getting what you want, it's probably because you're not really actually doing it for yourself. You're doing it to still try to control an outcome. And that's what we anxiously attached people really do. Codependent people, because we're dependent on this thing and we need this thing to make us feel something. But realistically, again, it's the feeling that we're going to create within ourselves, and we have to take those steps. So even if it's not about like dating other people, when you go to a coffee shop, literally make eye contact with that person and say hi to them. Start having conversations with people. Start saying hi to people in your hallways. Start saying hi to new people at your school. Start showing yourself that it's actually possible to be liked, to be loved. And again, it's not really like, oh, I need to say hi to this person so that they can tell me that I'm lovable. It's not that. It's just showing yourself that there's an infinite, abundant people, money, everything in your life. You have to start reinforcing that within yourself. When you are rooted in the present and you are not stressing and you are not trying to fix things, not only do things end up working out and conforming way quicker, but on top of that, you actually get to enjoy the life that you're here to live. You are not here to sit and be stressed and to not be the main character every single day. Like, what type of life is that? That is not a good life. That is not. Being anxiously attached and wondering and making stories about why somebody is not loving you is not what you came here to do. And it's understandable. We get taught from a very young age, because we don't have the proper parental guidance, we don't have parents maybe who have loved us properly, like whatever it is, that we are not worthy because they didn't show up a certain way. But it's not that. It's really not. It's just we got certain cards that were dealt to us. Not all of them were amazing, and that's totally fine, but we need to reinstill this confidence within us that we never actually got in the first place. Another thing that can help is to start saying yes to a lot of things, especially when we are homebodies or we're working on ourselves or whatever it is, we're into like self-development stuff. Sometimes we want to like protect our peace and we want to like do our own thing and isolate and stuff. But again, we sometimes need to get out of our comfort zones and just start to go enjoy life and be present without the need for like having this thing change our lives, because that's how I used to look at things. Like I was such a perfectionist that it's like, okay, well, if I don't understand why I was going to go to a certain event or a social situation and like there wasn't going to be this huge outcome, then I wouldn't do it. But I didn't realize I was actually getting in my own way of like showing myself like I'm wanted, I'm loved, there's abundance in this world, there's so many people to meet, there's so many things to do, there's so much life to live. And the more times you actually indulge in those type of things and you start saying yes to life, it really does help you stop being so anxious. But a mindset reframe when it comes to actually saying yes to things is realizing like you don't need this event you're gonna go to, or this social situation, or this date that you're gonna go on. It doesn't need to have an outcome. We don't need it. We don't need this thing to make us feel anything, to make us feel worthy. Because honestly, if we do that, then we're kind of going back to trying to be validated from things outside of us. And we literally don't need to actually do that. We don't need to do it. So really the only outcome that you should be like thinking about when it comes to saying yes to certain activities or like new friends or whatever is simply the outcome of being present in the moment. I remember when I was having like really low self-concept or self-confidence, really, especially around men. What I would do, I was like, hey, you know what, screw it. I'm going to, every single time a man looks at me, I am going to make eye contact with him, which I usually don't, because it's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you, whatever, blah, blah. I was like, hey, no, I'm gonna like make eye contact with everyone, and I'm not gonna be stressed about like, oh, like where that's gonna lead, because they don't need to actually talk to me. Like, I don't need to get their numbers if I don't want to. Even if they ask me for the number, or they ask me for social media, whatever, I can give it to them, whatever, but there's no strings attached. Like, I don't need to, because that's what we do, right? It's like, okay, well, I don't want to talk to that person because then that means I'm gonna have to talk. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to keep following up with them. You don't have to actually go on a date with them. Like, you don't. It's just you and your stories that you're telling yourself. But I wanted to show myself like it's possible, and like just go live your life and like be wanted by other people. And just, again, it's this idea of just being the main character. So like, okay, let me do this experiment. And I remember this one day, I was so ruthless. I was literally, every single time a guy passed me, I would make eye contact with him. And it's just so funny how they would light up and like stop me, and they would say hi to me, and even actually made new friends. Like, it wasn't like I don't know, romantic thing. I mean, maybe it could have been, whatever. But I remember I did this like whole day of doing that, and I could not believe how magnetizing I was from switching my energy and all the real, honestly, abundance that I got. Again, it's not about gauging like the quality of the abundance, aka like the men or whatever. It's showing myself that it's possible. And that energy translated to so many other things in my life, and it got my mind off of obsessing over this main character over here, made myself the main character, and in turn, me being the main character and taking aligned action from that place, taking care of myself, going to the gym, loving myself, going to see my friends, being in the present moment. Everything that I wanted ended up coming back to me tenfold, literally tenfold. Like my specific person that I actually really wanted, but I really was doing these practices out of a place of, I don't care if you come back. That's the thing. You need to like not care if this person or like this thing actually comes back. It's a detachment. But they did. They came back, and they came back exactly the way that I wanted. And it's because I became that person. I became the change. I was rooted in my self-worth. I remind myself, what are you doing stressing over somebody? Like, do you not see how amazing you are? Do you not see how beautiful you are? Do you not see how incredible and easy it is to be lovable, and you don't have to work and stress and chase and do all these things? That was the energy that I was in. And when I was in that energy, it was not a trying process for somebody else the person that I wanted to come back into my life and like be exactly the way that I wanted to. So I don't know, I just think that like saying yes to things and getting out there can really not only, of course, like help you bring things back to you, but it's not about that. It's you're reminding yourself of how amazing you are. You are amazing. Like, let's just be real for a second. Like, let's be logical with our logical freaking brains. Why would somebody not want to choose you? Why would somebody not see the uniqueness in you and choose you? It's insane. And if we think about it, realistically, at one point in our lives, we were the main character, and then we weren't. And usually, especially when it comes to relationships, if you see your patterns, if you really look, okay, because people will like to blame everything else. If you really see your patterns, you'll realize you were the one that fell off of the main character energy, or you were not able to sustain that when you started talking to this person in the first place. And then when you fell off, what ends up happening? Oh, the person's pulling away. Oh, the person's not looking at me like main character energy. Oh, he's not giving me attention. Oh, da-da-da. You're not giving yourself attention. You are not your main character. I'm telling you, when people are main characters, truly, they are so magnetic that they do not have to do anything. So just remind yourself of that. Okay, I'm going to finish getting ready quickly and then go see my friend, and I will be walking the streets of downtown, being the main character as I am, not caring about who is texting me, when they're coming, when the money's coming, when anything is coming, like truly being in the present moment, very much so detached, very much so in my own reality, romanticizing my life. I'm gonna take photos of the city. I'm going to listen to some good music. I am going to remind myself that I am that girl the way that you need to. And if you're a guy, if you're watching, then you're that guy too. And yeah, and it's such a different experience. Also, one thing is like when you start doing this, you just realize how much time flies. Like when you're an anxious person, I swear all you do is obsess about time. Like you are so incredibly aware of how long it's been since you've talked to this person, or how long it's been since like the last payment that you got in your bank account. And when you are the main character, time is irrelevant, honey. Time is irrelevant. Hello everyone, I am back from my amazing day in the city walking around with my friend. I was considering vlogging and like taking a bunch of clips, but we just did a lot of walking, and then we went to Barro, which is a Mexican food place, which was so good. And literally, I got tan. Like, it's summer, and that's all I know. But anyways, I wanted to give you a few more tips. And I was thinking as I was walking, something that I like to think about as I'm walking in public. And I know it's gonna sound a little bit extra, but you know, when you're the main character, you really have to look at yourself like you are. And so when you're walking out in public, you need to assume positive narratives and stories about what people are seeing when they see you. This is not to mean to go walk the streets and just be like, oh my God, everyone's so obsessed with me. But I feel like sometimes when we go out in public, whether we're walking down the street or we're going to a social event, we naturally, when somebody like notices us or we know that we might be more in the spotlight, we tend to think about a negative story about how they're judging us, or they don't like something about us, or they're gonna like think we're weird if we're doing something in a social event, or even if we're in school. I remember when I would walk into my college classrooms and I would feel so insecure, and naturally people will look at you. Same thing if you like go into a nail salon. People just look, right? And then you instantly, when people are looking at you, you tell yourself this story. And the story is usually something that tries to confirm to you a negative belief that you hold about yourself. So maybe it's your looks, maybe it's your outfit, maybe it's, I don't know, anything about you that you are looking at poorly. And my friend and I were talking as we were eating today about this whole idea of how like truly the stories that you tell yourself and the narratives that you tell yourself really dictate your reality. And so I'm just not in the business to constantly assume that everyone doesn't like me and or thinks I'm not looking good, or that I'm weird, or that I'm making mistakes, or that I'm not chosen, or anything like that. And realistically, the more that you perceive people to not like you, that will literally be your reality. You will start to pick up on little things that, oh, you correlate the fact that they said this, that means that about me. And we could call this being a little bit delusional. And I think that there's nothing wrong with being delusional. There's nothing wrong with you deciding to tell yourself a story that makes you feel good. Like, there's literally no harm in you walking down the street. If you struggle with like body image or just any image, self-concept, whatever, and you telling yourself, when somebody, let's say, looks at you, like a guy looks at you or a girl looks at you, you tell yourself that they are not judging you and that actually they like you in your hair or your outfit. That's why they're looking at you. Or when you're walking into class, you're assuming that when people do look at you or when you walk into the room, they're happy that you're there. And again, it comes back to this idea that if you don't believe that you are amazing, then even if people in your reality are actually looking at you like amazing, you're not going to believe it. The more that you tell yourself that you are amazing and that you are beautiful and that you accept yourself, people will conform. And on top of that, because I know some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, but what about the people who actually say that I don't look good even if I tell myself they look good, da da da. Listen, if you actually backed yourself and you thought that you looked amazing and you loved yourself and you accept yourself, whoever might be telling you that you don't look good, which probably wouldn't really be a big case, but if it did, it would be so completely irrelevant to you, because that's not something that you'd be focusing on. It's only the times that we focus on the negative comments because realistically they're triggering something that we actually believe in ourselves. Like truly, that's what happens. So when you're out in public, when you're around people, start to assume a new story. Start to assume that these people like to be around you, they want to be you, they think you're beautiful, they're looking at your outfit, they're whatever you need to tell yourself. If you find that your mind is going to the negative, and if you don't even know, then literally tomorrow, when you go and do anything out in public, or you go and talk to somebody, or even if you're on the phone, even the stories that you tell yourself about your friends or your family or whatever, witness how many times that you actually go to the negative. And if you really struggle with that, another way that you can tell what your true insecurity is how much you are judging other people. If you are judging and picking at other people, it's literally you actually judging yourself. People don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you, that's what it is. If you have such a aversion to someone in the way that they look, it's most likely because you either don't accept that part about you on yourself, or if you don't look like that, you somewhere in your life were taught that if you did look like that person, or you did act like that, or you were this way, that your needs wouldn't be met, or you wouldn't be loved, or you wouldn't be accepted. So you watch somebody else get rejected in that way. So now you, even if you aren't that person, you look at the whoever it is who's reflecting that, you don't accept it and you judge it because you're like, can't have that, like that's not gonna get me what I want. So it's really good to be aware of that too when you are judging other people. And it doesn't mean that everyone that comes in contact with you, whether they look a certain way, they act a certain way, that you need to accept it. Like you might have certain morals, values, the way that you hold and present yourself. But when you have a very integrated shadow, aka a lot of self-acceptance, you understand that people don't need to look like you, and you don't need to reject other people just because they don't look exactly like you. And this can be even subtle ways, right? You might look at somebody who's very outgoing, and for some reason you just can't stand them. A lot of the times it's because you've been taught that if you ever were outgoing, you wouldn't be accepted. And even on the flip side, sometimes what happens is somebody who's very outgoing, you're very attracted to that person and you don't really know why. You're just like so attracted to them. Well, maybe you do know why, and it's because they're outgoing and they're funny or whatever, but they're basically everything that you won't allow yourself to be. And that's why you're so attracted to them, because it's like they exude a part of you deep down that you have been suppressing. So that's also good as well. When you are super attracted to somebody about something, like whatever, it's like, obviously maybe like outside of like physical attraction, but it's just a good thing to note, I guess. And now the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to being the main character is falling in love with your own life and having goals and things going for you. A girl or a guy who is the main character, who is the it girl, who is self-obsessed, they got things going for themselves. They have goals. They have weekly to-dos. They have monthly goals. They have yearly goals. They have a vision for themselves. They are focused heavily on themselves. So if you find that you have been looking at everyone else as main characters, or you don't have a lot of self-worth, sometimes self-worth and confidence, it comes from you actually doing things. There's a level of you should always feel like worthy of like love and getting things in your life. Like naturally you're inherently worthy. Yes, you're inherently valuable. Yes. But there does come a point in time where the only way you're really gonna build confidence and like really like back yourself is if you take action and you get up and you achieve things, and you set goals and you achieve those goals. So this is a very good time for you to analyze some of the things that you have been putting off, that you haven't been nurturing, whether that be like your health, your fitness goals, your friendships that are so incredibly important, what you want to do with your career. There's so many things, honestly, that we let go and we're not focused on, but then we wonder why we're not feeling like main character energies, because we're not looking at the to-do list. And this has really helped me on the days that I do feel like crap about myself, which is not very often, honestly, anymore, but to bring my focus back to my bigger picture, my why in life. When things aren't going good in my life, I'm not gonna keep putting the spotlight on there, and I'm going to bring it into what I can control. I can control where my mind goes. I can control what I do when I wake up out of my bed and decide to go to the gym, to take care of myself, to nurture my friendships, to nurture the things that are right in front of my face, instead of worrying about whatever else is going on outside of me that is not even desirable in this moment. And honestly, guys, I actually do think that this is one of the biggest things that I think has changed the game for me when it comes to actually getting what I want in my life, whether that be love, money, just a peaceful and amazing life, happiness, is always bringing my attention back to myself, taking care of myself, loving on myself, working on myself, accepting myself, enjoying my life. Nobody is going to be obsessed with me if I am not obsessed with myself. And even if somebody was realistically obsessed with me, I wouldn't even be able to notice it because I don't like myself. And that's the energy so many of us have been in for many, many years. And we're just wondering why we're feeling so alone. We're wondering why we don't feel like we're main characters. We're wondering why people are coming and going. Babe, it starts with you. I promise you. The best thing you can do for yourself is bring your attention back to you. Now, I just recently made a video on how to reinvent yourself this summer, which I think would go so well with this video if you have not already watched. This is a video for you to get inspired and to set a new vibe, and on top of that, step into a new identity, a new version of you. I think this would really strengthen this idea of becoming the main character. I am becoming my own main character this summer. I've set a whole theme, a whole vibe. I am focused. I have a morning routine. I have things put in place in my environment to keep me in this energy of me instead of focusing on everything else, because the truth is, like, it's gonna take some work. It's gonna take committing to yourself every single day to change the thoughts, to change the stories, to decide that you're the main character. You're not gonna wake up every single day naturally and you're just gonna think about the fact that you're picked and you're loved and you're the main character and you're the it girl. It's gonna take you committing. And I say, if not now, then when, right? If you've already watched this video and you're this far, at this point, you gotta commit. And listen, take it from me. I'm 27 years old. If you're younger than me, and even if you're older, you could probably attest, you're gonna have to do this eventually, so you might as well do it now. And the life that you say that you want and all the things that you're just dreaming about, they are not going to come on this side of you, the low self-worth, the non-main character version of you. It's going to come on the other side. So let's take the leap, and don't worry, I'm right here with you, and let's get it done. Okay? Because you deserve it. And truthfully, you've always deserved it, but you need to learn how to step over this bridge and claim that energy. So that video will be linked down below, or it'll be on the screen very soon. Thank you so much to Cheeks again for sponsoring this video. Again, the 7-day free trial, annual membership. You can cancel anytime if you want, down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.